Jenny Martindale, and our teacher, Mr. Richard Clark.
Well, welcome. We're going to start right out the gate with question number 3. In our time, as it was in the time the 14th Amendment was written, immigration is a bitter cultural and political issue. Why has immigration continued to be a difficult issue for Americans over the course of history? What were the major cultural and political issues regarding immigration and citizenship at the time the 14th Amendment was proposed? What are the major cultural and political issues regarding immigration today?
Give me your tired, your poor, the Statue of Liberty says. Your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Or, as President John F. Kennedy adapted in A Nation of Immigrants, as long as they come from Northern Europe, are not too tired or too poor or slightly ill, never stole a loaf of bread, never joined any questionable organization, and can document their activities for the past 2 years. Since the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1864, to Kennedy's remarks in 1962, to today in 2016, the American immigration system has never and does not live up to the Statue of Liberty's words.
The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 to give free slaves legal standing by outlining the process of citizenship. In the case Dred Scott versus Sanford, the court ruled that Dred Scott was not entitled to the provisions of the Missouri Compromise and had to maintain his slave status even in a free territory. With the passage of the 14th Amendment, not only were slaves granted citizenship, they could not be denied privileges or immunities issued to all citizens.
Like freed slaves, immigrants in the 1800s were also considered second-class citizens. Irish migrants fleeing the potato famine in 1846 faced discrimination on their arrival to the United States. Chinese migrants who worked under dangerous conditions on the railroads in the West were soon barred from entering the country for 10 years through the Chinese Exclusion Act.
Nativism continued in the 1900s. Nationalism and xenophobia during World War I allowed for the Quota Acts of 1921 and 1924. Though quotas for immigrants based on nationality have since been repealed, the system is being considered today in Europe as a means to contain the Syrian refugee crisis.
In a 2009 survey titled Broken Laws, Unprotected Workers, 68% of workers interviewed had experienced a pay violation in the past week. Although illegal immigrants hold the right to sue under the Fair Labor Standards Act, these pay violations often go unreported for the legitimate fear of deportation.
The 14th Amendment has been used to radically expand immigrants' rights through the Due Process Clause, in which a person, not a citizen, is entitled to due process. Illegal immigrants have the right to a trial before deportation, but in Houston, Texas, there are only 6 immigration judges, with 36,000 cases pending for Texas asylum seekers and immigrants.
The Supreme Court case Graham v. Richardson struck down an Arizona law that prevented non-citizens from getting welfare because it violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The court set the precedent of placing alienage under strict scrutiny along with race and religion, meaning there must be significant compelling state interest in order to deprive a person, even a non-citizen, of their life, liberty, or property. States can use the Equal Protection Clause to give legal residents the right to vote in local elections.
In 2013, the U.S. Senate passed an immigration bill that would tighten border security, enforce new workplace requirements, and revamp the legal immigration system to put illegal immigrants on the path to citizenship. A Republican House, feeling no pressure from its voter base, blocked the comprehensive immigration reform. According to a Pew Research survey, 31% of Latino immigrants who are not U.S. citizens or legal residents identify as Democrat, while just 4% as Republican. If 11 million unauthorized immigrants were granted citizenship, Republicans would likely suffer at the ballot box. But today, there is no voter pressure to reform the immigration system.
Immigration and citizenship issues have continued to cause controversy in the U.S. Garrett Epps addressed a dehumanizing rhetoric against immigrants when he wrote, "Words matter. Note that those who coined the term anchor baby have transformed a new American child into a lead object whose only significance is in relation to other people."
We worry that immigrants steal hardworking American jobs. We fear for international security and are wary of a changing definition of citizenship. Emma Lazarus' passage engraved on the Statue of Liberty was supposed to turn this massive medal into a welcoming symbol for all immigrants entering America. However, as fear and political agendas become more prominent, the people suffering behind them are left in the shadows. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and start the questions.
You guys did a great job of talking about different parts of the 14th Amendment and the due process clause and things like that. There's a section of the due process amendment that has led in 2015 several prominent Republican want to see it's being repealed. What section of the 14th Amendment is that that concerns immigration?
I believe you're talking about birthright citizenship, and it has been proposed that it should be repealed on the basis that these immigrants should not have children in the United States in order to create a quote-unquote anchor in order for them to remain in the United States. However, Immigration and Customs Enforcement has prosecutorial discretion, and they may deport the parents of legal American citizens. So this is not really, anchor babies is not really something that is based in fact.
Additionally, there's a part of the birthright citizenship clause that says subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which causes a problem in a lot of scholarly fields because some people believe that illegal immigrants are not subject to the jurisdiction of laws because they broke them when they entered the United States. But I disagree because just by entering and having children here, they're creating a home out of the United States and are entering the social contract with their government.
Additionally, if you look at the cost of raising a child in the United States, it's approximately $250,000 on average to raise a child properly in the United States. And so if you look at the cost of going through the legal immigration system, it's approximately $3,000 on average due to legal fees, application fees. And so the cost analysis doesn't add up and doesn't support the argument of people coming to the United States and having a child so that they can stay.
However, one could also argue that these people born in the United States do not deserve the citizenship, as they were merely born in the United States. They did not have to take the citizenship test. They didn't have to learn anything about our nation and just became a citizen because they were merely born in the U.S.
I would disagree with my colleague Grace. Some form of citizenship test would go directly against the 14th Amendment and violate the Constitution because we are guaranteed birthright citizenship.
All right, you guys dipped your big toes in these waters, but let's go a little further. What role, if any, will immigration play on the presidential race? And, I'm almost there, and how will candidates leverage the issue?
It has played a very large role. It has fueled a lot of the discussion within many of the debates televised. However, we can see that Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 of our Constitution distinctly gives Congress the ability to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, and this shouldn't be an issue that's fueling a debate for our executive branch.
One of the things that has been brought up in presidential debates has been President Obama's executive action, deferred action for parents of Americans. And if a new president comes into office, he can easily reverse the executive order. The Supreme Court actually heard oral arguments on Monday over DAPA. And so we will see if this has lasting effect or if the suit is dropped.
However, in contrast to Obama's executive orders, which would be continued by a candidate such as Hillary Clinton, we see another candidate, Donald Trump, has not only proposed to build this wall on the Mexican border, but also that in order to pay for this wall, the money immigrants are sending back to their families, say in Mexico, will be used to build this wall. And one could argue that that's a completely immoral argument, as this money, the people came to America for this opportunity, and the money is needed by their families.
Since you touched briefly about the Syrian refugee issue, and a lot of states are grappling it on their own terms, there seems to be a lot of controversy between states handling immigration and the federal government. Do you think this is a federal government issue, a state issue, perhaps both? Why or why not?
Well, just recently, approximately 20 state governors said that they would not allow Syrian refugees into their state. However, we can see through the 14th Amendment, this is not a state issue. This is very much a federal issue. Additionally, the people that apply to become refugees through the UN Refugee Agency, approximately 1% of them are granted background checks. So it is a very difficult process to get through, and no terrorist would use that path.
In addition to Ian's comments, that is a major fear, is that these immigrants are going to come and be maybe detrimental to American society if they have this violent jihadist ideas. But the system of becoming a citizen is in direct contact with the FBI, so it's the least likely way a terrorist would come into the United States.
Additionally, out of approximately 784,000 Syrian refugees that have come, or Syrian migrants that have come into the United States, none have been proved to be associated with any sort of terrorist organization. So any claim by any candidate, regardless of party, about the background of Syrian refugees is not rooted in fact.
However, I would somewhat disagree with my colleague Ian about it being a federal issue. I think it's both because the amount of immigrants in each state differs, so laws in the states could have different consequences. We see in Nevada that we have the highest percentage of our population in the labor force is undocumented immigrants. So economically, different laws in our state would have different effects than laws in other states.
I'd just like to end this with a question. I like to ask students about.
I feel like the bad guy.
I know, they are.
No, it's me. I want to ask.
We're gonna give you guys some feedback if you don't mind. Something very unique about your presentation is that you started with the Statue of Liberty. Like that gave me goosebumps, not gonna lie. I think it's just because that is what we aspire to live up to, and yet all of you have pointed out reasons how we have failed to live up to that standard. I think you did a good job incorporating different cases, different statistics, which one of my fellow judges is all about evidence. So you could never have enough evidence, and I think you guys really tried to do that. I appreciate the varying views, and something that you guys do very well is that you don't interrupt one another, but you build off of one another, and that shows that you guys are very thoughtful as a collective whole, which is difficult at times. So, good job, very good job.
Yeah, I've said this, I have cards that are, these are the things that I hope are said, and this is what I'd like to ask about. Well, you guys pretty much answered everything that I thought. You brought up things that were just really pertinent and relevant, and also, sometimes passion seems to be fake, but I felt like you guys really meant what you were saying, and you had a lot to back it up with, and I just was very impressed with your knowledge about Syria and all of it, so excellent job.
Yeah, I don't get goosebumps. I was like, oh, here we go again. But your opening was awesome because you gave me the twist at the end. And so then now I'm chuckling and paying attention. So I love it. You guys got me. I'm a little more cynical. These guys are awesome. My age, I don't know. But you guys had me. Although that you hit all the major points and checked the boxes in the opening, you were very creative still and unique with some of these hooks and twists where we thought you were going a different way. And whoa, they just took
That's
it
what
that
I
way.
like.
So you kept me on my toes, which was good because we're getting tuckered right now. So, you kept me paying attention, which was really good. Your answers were very thorough. So I like the thoroughness. I like that you had lots of evidence. You used the historical and the contemporary evidence. Because at this level, I can't say more constitutional application because you guys are competing at such a high level would be good. And I like that sometimes some of you were a little brave with some real definitive terms and not saying things like least likely. If we had a little more time, we might have been able to come back and challenge you on some of those. But you were, as I think you put it last time, Mrs. Early, and I love that you were fearless. And
You weren't afraid. I was
you
about to
stood
say.
by, yeah, you
They
stood
weren't.
by some of the things you said, and I was like, wow, you
Lovely.
really defended him. You weren't even, using soft language. So good job.